What's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation tonight? You're currently tuning into the Invincible CultPop Podcast, Episode 10, Legacy number
811.
Thank you. A show where we talk about comics, movies, TV, games, food, news, friendship, and all the things that scratch the nerdy itch. We're coming to you live tonight from Mannyunk Studios. That's MNYK Studios if you're going to look it up. Philadelphia's premier production space. And we kind of live here now.
We do.
I am your fill-in host tonight, Noel Bartocci, frequent patron of Johnny DeTructo's Hero Complex, our home-based comic shop located 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A super rad comic shop which caters to nerd and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes and genders and creeds and colors and religions. And
bank accounts.
Yeah, you're gonna great about something. Either way, with me tonight are Brian Lieb.
Hey, hi.
And
Hey, holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
we are one down tonight because Johnny's under the weather. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Johnny, why'd I call him Johnny? JD's under the weather. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute. But before we do, also joining us tonight, right outside of the frame, judging us with his face and motions, gesticulations with hands, is producer Terry. Say hi, Terry.
It's my man T. T leaves in the building.
Which should be a visual reminder that if anything goes wrong with the show tonight, it's Terry's fault. It's always
Mr. Leahy.
Terry's fault. So at the top of the show, we see a bunch of you already in the chat. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Listeners that are here with us, whether you're watching live or checking it out later, if you dig what we're doing at all, you know what? Even if you're just hate watching, I'd like you to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, add us. You will be notified when we go live and when we add more content because we love doing this, and the best part of it is when you engage with us. So pipe up in the chat and send us emails.
Yeah.
Email address, which is cultpopgo@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of listeners who pipe up, though, we have letters.
We have letters?
We have letters.
We got lots and
lots
of letters.
All right, so I want to do that again because I didn't hear Brian.
I was speaking very quietly.
I mean, I feel like when we harmonize, everyone's got to really commit.
Oh, you never noticed that I never sing that song?
I do.
With you guys?
Because you're always next to me, but it's almost more
Yeah.
like relevant right now because we're missing one voice.
All right,
That's
you want me to do it?
We
All
need
right,
you.
so cut, take two. Oh, we've got letters. Oh, we got letters.
We have
lots and lots of letters.
I missed the last word.
You got to
I just
Mariah Carey
stopped.
it.
I stopped right before the end.
So this email comes to us from somebody I've never heard of before named JD.
Do you think
Hey,
it stands for something?
That's
weird.
Jonathan Doohickey? I'm not sure.
Probably. Jonathan Doohickey.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Doohickey.
Doohickey.
Yeah.
The Virginia Doohickeys.
Oh, I love that family.
Wonderful family. So, hey, fella cult papas, which I like. We're going to stick with that for a little while.
Cold Papas. Cold Papas.
Sorry I can't be there tonight due to me and my wife and kid having COVID.
Ooh, yeah, stay home.
But I have a question. In an attempt to avoid giving my fam the vid, I sent myself away to a Motel 6 to be sick on my own for 3 days. And while I was there, I was soaking in my bed. I was there soaking the bed in my sick wets. Not sweats, sick wets. I passed the time with The Goonies, Lost Boys, Usual Suspects, and the True Grit remake since they were just what happened to be on cable in my room.
Okay.
Fair enough.
When I'm sick or if it were a snow day, I have a tendency to revisit films I've seen time and time again, though they're usually Quentin Tarantino movies for some reason, which is probably something you might have to examine. Can you each name a comfort movie or movies that you tend to go to when you're sick?
Ooh,
Who wants to start? Who wants to go first?
Well, first of all, JD, you should treat yourself a little kinder than a Motel 6. But that's, I'm just saying. Love yourself more, bruh.
Look, on that point, it's always good to do like one or two things when you go into any hotel room, including a Motel 6. Pull the sheets and check the corners.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bed bugs are a real thing.
Yeah.
Check the corners of the bed, and don't put your bag down on the floor or on the bed. Put it on a hard surface.
Yeah.
You're
Preferably
welcome.
at a
Good
Motel
advice.
6, you want to put
Good
your
advice.
bag back in the car and then go
turn
to a
around.
Marriott.
Anyway, is there any kind of comfort?
Take that Motel 6.
yeah. I'd also like to add
sponsor
tonight.
of
I'd also like to add
CultPop
tonight that we're
the
sponsored
podcast.
by Motel 6.
Up until
Oh no,
this
you know
minute.
what? We're sponsored by Best Western. Best Western. Fuck you, Motel 6. Have a good night. No.
Their slogan.
Yeah. Best Western, dying on fire, Motel 6. What do you guys do for comfort when you're either sick or a snow day, rainy day works?
Sure.
Just like comfort watches. Like,
I'll tell you what. It's never a movie, right? I don't tend to watch a lot of movies. I don't rewatch movies really, like I do with TV shows.
Really?
Yeah, for whatever reason, when I worked at a movie theater for a while, I kind of stopped seeing movies unless they were superhero or sci-fi or some other main draw.
Okay.
And I'll watch 10 episodes of a show, but the shows begin and end multiple times in that time, whereas a movie feels like, this is like the whole night. I gotta, it's gonna be this time when I'm done or whatever. And I only get one wrap up in that whole time. So my comfort things are all shows. They vary. They also apply while I'm cleaning or something, right? We've got right now Bob's Burgers and American Dad are two of the big ones, but Parks and Rec is a very strong thing.
those are both passive watches then.
Yeah.
Like I think of sitcoms and cartoons usually it's because the plots are usually so tight and so like kind of like small or low stakes. They're like passive watches. You could just have that on in the background.
Yeah.
I do
Not
it
necessarily intent.
instead of music. I listen to shows that I have seen before
Wow.
while I'm doing some other thing. But Star Trek: The Next Generation has definitely been in there in times.
Okay,
The
yeah.
Office is one. They do tend to be comedies and that kind of thing, but I feel like there's more that I'm just not thinking of. But that's the gist of it: is beloved shows.
Well, just sticking with his theme of it being movies, and I do rewatch movies a lot. And I think, well, first of all, when I'm sick, I usually just kind of like lay in the bed and go to sleep. So it's usually a movie that I have seen before because I know it. Like he said, it's comfort food, right? So my go-tos as far as movies that I will rewatch on a loop are The Godfather 1 and 2.
Okay.
It's a mad world.
Oh, nice.
Friday and Roxanne with Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah.
Have you seen the
interesting.
Cyrano adaptation with Peter Dinklage?
No, I didn't. I heard it wasn't bad.
I want to see it. It's
Yeah,
a
me
musical.
too. I really want to see it.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't bad.
Hey, that's a sidetrack.
Was it
sorry.
originally a musical?
I don't know.
No. What do you
don't
mean?
think so.
Was what originally?
Cyrano Bergerac, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, it's just a story.
Yeah, it was just
You
a
know,
play. I think.
interestingly, because I just mentioned Star Trek: The Next Generation, I know his full name from one episode of Next Gen, and I was like, that would be a cool thing to know. So,
What is his full name?
Hercule de Sauvignon de Cyrano de Bergerac. Thank you for asking.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
It's in the one where Barclay's in that play.
All right, guys. We could probably end it. We could
All
probably
right,
end it.
take it
we
easy,
could probably end it
guys.
on that. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, not the show, just this topic.
No, this show.
Well, what do you?
That's
what
a
do you
that's
watch?
a that's a drop. That's a mic drop.
Yeah.
What do I watch? I was thinking about this. I can't really think of anything a title specific, but I always find myself watching trashy horror movies when I'm sick. Anything in the 80s.
I'm about to say, like, is it Pacific? Like,
It's like usually
decade or
practical 80s, preferably wet puppets. We've talked about this before. Wet puppet horror is, think of like Ghoulies or anything that really features like like an actual practical monster that's goopy.
yeah.
A la wet puppet. So like wet puppet horror or practical horror, really something that I don't have to engage with, but keeps me just kind of, I don't know.
Is it things you've seen before usually, or new
Not
stuff?
always.
Okay.
No, not always
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
So I think about when I had COVID in early 2022. I just put on Shudder, and anything that had a stupid picture, I just went for it.
Wow.
I watched everything from like Tammy and the T-Rex to this.
Tammy and the T-Rex.
Yes, this Spanish horror movie called Skull that was just about
A skull.
a skull.
The skull. That was aptly
And
named.
it was incredibly gory. But yeah, no, I find
It was a rom-com with a skull.
when I was
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, I couldn't even walk
Clickbait.
into video stores that had horror movie posters up because I was just afraid of everything.
Oh, wow.
But like from 13 or 14 on, I just started eating it up whole. So my comfort level is just usually like stupid horror movies. Yeah.
My best friend Calvin, his comfort movie for anything is like sick or whatever is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, it's a perfect movie.
He broke up with a woman and made me go with him back to her house because he had left his DVD of The Thing there. I was like, dog, you can get it for $5. He was like, yeah, but why? Mine is right there. I'm going to get mine.
Fudge.
And
Oh
we
man, I
went
would.
and got it.
Honestly, this random emailer, I think his name was
Copapas.
Jake Donahue.
Cool.
Oh,
something JD. I don't know, but he seems to have jumped in the chat.
Huh. We do love it when fans interact.
I do love it when fans interact because this is just a random fan. He says that The Thing is a perfect movie, and I completely agree. The Thing is a perfect movie. I actually just showed my wife The Thing for the first time
Nice.
over Halloween, and she was like,
And she was scared.
But a little excited.
and she's still my wife.
We renewed our vows.
And she is not.
I do. What? Go ahead.
She's not a horror fan.
Sure.
But she loved it.
She is now.
She actually, yeah, I mean, it's a horror show. Not gonna lie.
Sam,
yeah.
I am. What? I'm sorry.
It's a perfect movie that transcends the genre. The Thing.
And continue in the chat. Christopher St. Saucy Goodnight chimed in saying that the True Grit remake was awful.
I didn't see it.
It was not.
Oh.
It is great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
He also jumped in the chat and said, Noel, I hated driving by the movie store when the Child's Play display was in the window. Excellent reference because I used to be afraid of Child's Play. It's probably one of my favorite guilty pleasure franchises now.
Yeah.
All the Child's Play movies are great.
They are.
Just great.
I
Even
mean,
the
some of them-
direct-to-video
some of them
ones.
are dumb, but-
Even the direct-to-video ones are pretty great.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, nice.
All right.
Christopher Goodnight, if you don't see him in the chat, it's probably because he's chatting from some other channel. We do go live on multiple platforms, so sorry about that. It looks like you're just going to have to like and subscribe on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, and everywhere else that you get your content.
Okay.
Hey, speaking of Tammy and the T-Rex, have
Yeah.
you heard of the genre of dinosaur erotica books?
Oh,
that are
yeah.
widely available.
Yes.
It's not something I heard of recently, but I just felt that this was a good time to bring it up, and it's very interesting that it exists.
There's always room
so
for
before-
dinosaur porn.
Yeah.
Before I say no,
Yeah.
because I've never heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to talk really briefly
Sure.
about the plot of Tammy and the Dinosaur.
Oh, yeah? All right.
Tammy and the T-Rex. So Tammy is just a basic California teenager cheerleader.
Sure.
She falls in love with a basic California boy
Hmm.
who is killed, murdered, unconscious, and his brain is transported or is put into a clone cybernetic T-Rex.
A cybernetic
cool.
T-Rex.
I think
interesting.
it's half made, half built kind of thing. So this T-Rex is a monster, but it remembers Tammy
Oh.
and it loves Tammy.
Oh.
And Denise Richards
Oh.
and Paul Walker is the kid before he dies.
Those are larger stars than I thought would have been in this movie.
And
with that name.
I may be conflating it
From
with
the
Iron
80s.
Sky or something.
Oh, it's from.
But
the
I
80s.
think they fight
Okay.
Nazis. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Either way, it was. My brain was fogged with COVID.
So it was perfect.
Yeah, it was a perfect movie to watch. I think I made up half of that plot, but still, it was perfect.
Does this movie exist?
It does.
Okay.
It's on Shudder.
Oh, yeah,
Tammy
Terry
and the
knew about
T-Rex.
it, too.
Yeah. Are you looking it up?
No, I heard about it from another podcast.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's a great sick watch. But yeah. Also, this random person who we've never heard of before, who may or may not be in the chat, also wanted us to remind us to not forget to tell people about the Peter David raffle.
Oh, that's
We are-
right. Yes.
We are raffling The Incredible Hulk The Incredible Hulk by Peter David, Volume 1, which is an out of print omnibus. We are doing it to raise money for Peter David's GoFundMe. Peter David, if you're not familiar with him, look him up really quick. He is one of the most prolific comic book writers. Actually, just prolific writers, because he's got a lot of prose work and a lot of screenwriting work.
Right.
It's just fantastic.
Right.
He is not well. He's ill.
Yeah.
He had a heart attack, a mini stroke, a whole bunch of things. And honestly, creatives aren't paid well. There's
They don't have like a union. They don't have a lot of
comic book writers don't necessarily have union.
healthcare.
When you're freelance for a living, you don't have that. So we're helping raise money for that. So please, if you are interested, it's $5 per ticket. Just email us at cultpopgo@gmail. In the what do we have them say in the headline?
Just
Just Peter David raffle.
for Peter David. Put Peter David.
And
in
then
the
we
subject
will
line.
send you information about how to purchase a ticket.
Yeah.
So be sure to get on that. We'll remind you before the end of the show too.
Most definitely.
But yeah,
right.
I feel like we are in a good space to talk about what you've been up to this week. Let's start with you, Bri.
Oh,
what you been up to this
thank you
week?
for asking. So the main thing that I want to talk about is The Green Knight, but I also happen to see. I'm not going to review this. I just wanted to let you guys know this very unlikely comic reference happened in this movie that I watched called She's Funny That Way. Funny movie. Owen Wilson, Kathryn Hahn, Will Forte, a lot of people. And in it, there is a movie actor who has been in a superhero movie. It came out in 2014, so the modern superhero movie stuff had started. And he was in a movie called The Red Bee, where he had a bee in his belt buckle that he
There was a
had
movie?
control of. No. This is a fictional movie within
Oh, okay,
this other
yeah.
movie. And I was like, what an obscure and unlikely
that's a deep
reference
cut.
to The Red Bee.
That is a
you
very
know?
deep cut.
Yeah, and not even nothing was made of it. It was like one line in the
Nothing
film.
should be made of the Red Bee.
Right? The Red Bee.
Yes.
What an odd character.
I'm not even sure how to respond to that.
yeah.
Well, because I've never heard of the Red Bee.
He's
Oh.
from the 40s. He, I think, had a red costume, and he had a bee in his belt buckle
Who-
that was advantageous to him to have.
In or on the belt
No.
buckle? I'm
Yeah,
lost.
like it was a
In the belt
compartment.
buckle. The belt buckle
Yeah.
What does
was
the bee
like
do?
the
Flew around, I guess.
flew
Does
around.
the bee
You know?
grant him abilities that
No.
any other man can't have?
No.
It was just like a helper in
Yeah,
his,
it was like a
in
pet
his war
bee.
on crime. Yeah.
My brain is broken.
I don't know what
Yes.
the bee could do to help him.
The bee
But-
could sting people.
Spy on, like, one time.
Because even the Green Hornet had at least just like thematic elements of a
Right,
hornet with the
right.
gas gun and that like called other things.
Yeah, he did other stuff. The Red Bee, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
he just
yeah.
had like
that literally was all he did.
Are there other color insects, like 40s superheroes?
Green Hornet, Red
Green
Bee.
Hornet, Red Bee, Blue Beetle,
Oh yeah, about to say Blue
Oh.
Beetle.
Yeah, there's gotta
Yellow
be, right?
Jacket.
Yellow.
Yellow
Jacket. I don't think there was a Yellow Jacket in the 40s. So Yellow Jacket doesn't come until
I feel like there must have been a purple something.
there was a
right?
Black Widow.
Oh, was there?
I think there
I
was
mean,
a
there
Black
is-
Widow back
Oh, back then?
Back then, yes.
That's I mean that was it was like a well that they went to, or just like threw darts at a board.
Yeah.
There's like insects and just ragey biv.
Yeah.
Cool.
What
we
happened?
need to have this guy have a colorful costume. Why not name him that thing?
Right.
But we're gonna reprint in black and white. It's
Yeah.
fine.
But you wanted to talk about
what,
the Green
yeah,
Knight.
what did you watch? What did you watch?
The Green Knight.
Okay. What,
Speaking of color.
Right. I watched this a little while ago. I'd been really excited about it, and I finally got around to it. It is the retelling of Gawain and his encounter, among other things, with the Green Knight. One thing I thought was really cool, it says in the beginning, adapted from something like Stories of Gawain by Anonymous. So I think this is drawn directly from the
Actual
earliest
source.
tales, right, that we've
Earliest
got.
source.
Yeah. And the opening credits say, or not credits, I guess, because it just says Gawain, and it flashes through like 10 different, maybe progressing, but script styles, right? So like this story has been told many times, kind of thing. And it's set, it feels like it's a while ago, but it's also got kind of a borderline surrealist element. Well, sometimes over the border, but like Arthur's crown is this very cool thing that you wouldn't picture being in the Middle Ages, but looks cool. It's kind of like a Anthony Hopkins in Titus kind of thing.
oh my god! I haven't thought about that movie in 20 years.
Yeah,
when it came
right?
out. Before you keep going, we
Yeah.
should note it's The Green Knight. Came out in 2021, directed by David Lowery, starring Dev Patel. And it's available on
Showtime.
Paramount Plus.
Paramount
and
Plus.
Showtime. I think it depends
Yeah.
on which one you
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing because of that last comment that came in.
Font.
Larry, cool.
I also did Christopher St. Saucy seems kind of sus. Font, yeah. Script. He meant you meant font styles changing back and forth.
I
But you
did.
said script. Yeah,
I did.
because it threw me off too. I was just like,
Yeah,
script. What kind of script?
Script like font in this case.
It was scriptures, just lots and lots of scriptures from different
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
tomes. You'd have to really know. Anyway.
So that's just the opening few seconds. and then,
And for the next 2 hours, we're
Yeah.
going to talk about the whole movie. Now,
exactly. Scene by scene.
Carry on.
Here's what I
Can
liked
you,
about it.
Can you go slower?
I can. So anyway, this Green Knight guy comes.
Oh.
It's cool. It's Arthur way later in life, right? He's an old man. The Green Knight comes in and issues this challenge: do something to me. I don't know what Lem finds funny about
I think
Arthur's point in life.
No, it's Arthur later in life. He's
an old man. Yeah. Oh, did you? In case anybody didn't know the progression of time and human aging.
For as age makes you
Right.
old.
Yes. As we progress, he has done so. So the Green Knight comes in, and I'll go in as a young man, and that's the opposite. And the Green Knight issues this challenge: do whatever you want to me. In a year, you come back and meet me, and I'm going to do the same to you. Right. So Gawain, for some reason, chops his head off. Right.
Hilarity ensues.
Yeah. And and then you get some Punch and Judy, old-timey puppet shows of their battle, right? It's got these medieval elements. Gawain goes off. He's not a knight. He wants to attain honor. His youthful head is full of, like, the promise of glory. But he wants to be a good guy. He's the mythical picture of a knight, you know? And he encounters a series of... Well, I should say he has a series of different encounters that I bet were different tales that all were told over the years that kind of got merged into one thing.
So it's basically just like a year in the life before his comeuppance.
Yeah. And then, well, no, you don't get most of that year. You flash forward until like 6 days before, and then he goes. And a friend of mine pointed out, each one of these encounters kind of tests an aspect of knighthood. As we think of it now.
That's how thematic storytelling works.
Yeah.
Before you finish, finish reading
Oh,
Once in Future.
For sure.
They deal with the Green Knight.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There were some elements that I'm like, I don't know what they're going for with this one. It looks really cool, right?
Yeah, because all I've ever seen was the trailer, and the trailer looked bonkers.
It almost
really
looked
dope.
metal.
Yeah.
Like very.
Right.
It's got that,
yeah.
and the poster is this very non-medieval blank red with him. It looks like a metal kind of thing.
I have heard, like, other than your opinion, because I plan on watching this eventually. I have heard that it is a masterpiece, and I've heard that it's incredibly sleepy.
That's what I've heard.
It is a
Nothing in between.
sedate movie for sure, but not. I didn't think sedate is not the right word. It is a
Methodical,
contemplative movie in many ways.
action packed. Got it.
That's a more expensive word.
Contemplative.
Yeah, that's
I won't charge you. You can have it for free.
That's a 3 nickel word.
Yeah, but overall, it was very much about style, the and theme. You know, more than necessarily a plotted story as we think of it now. There were events that happened that I'm like, I don't know how this plays into the larger narrative. Some of that might be because it was drawn from organically created tales put together. But overall, I got done watching it, and I was like, that was cool. I was into that.
So you recommend it because
I recommend it.
Blurred Girl Cosplay in the chat is asking, is there anything you recommend to watch? Would you recommend
I
The
would
Green Knight?
recommend it. If you like the kinds of things that I've been talking about, this is a good example of those kinds of things.
There you go.
Yeah.
What have you been
Well,
up to this week?
I do want to talk about a show that I know people have already seen. I've only just started seeing it. But in answer to Blurred Girl Cosplay, if you out there are hungry for another slice of the glass onion, then you'll have to wait. because the sequel won't be out for another
What an interesting recommendation.
couple of years.
I want to tell you about something I like. This is
Hasn't happened yet.
However, if you do want something that is the essence of that flavor, not as good, but still actually pretty funny and pretty kooky, it's a movie that I watched this week that Brian recommended.
Is it Confess Fletch?
It's Confess Fletch.
Ah, cool.
That movie is
All right.
quirky fun.
Right.
I commit to watching it this week because I haven't.
Cool.
I commit to watching it this week so we can talk about it for the 4th week in a row.
Cool.
Yes.
And we'll bring it up 4th week in a row.
Yes.
This is now the Confess Fletch podcast. We're going to talk about
there you go.
every
So,
single
welcome,
minute
Colt
of
Fletchers.
There's your job, Colt Fletchers. Next week we're going to be talking about Confess Fletch. So Blurred Girl Cosplay, Christopher St. Saucy, JD, all of you out there, watch Confess Fletch. Come back and let's discuss next week, okay? Right here on CultPop Go. But what I
so now
want
we
to
know
talk
that.
about really quick is the thing that everybody's been watching is Wednesday. Everybody's been talking about Wednesday on Netflix. I finally sat down to watch it this week. Only watched the first episode, and I could watch it because I'm done with Shark Tank.
Shark Tank's not done with you.
It is. I'm done. I've made my tally. I've made my score. I'm done. But Wednesday, look, first of all, I'm a huge Addams Family fan. So I was already, this was made for me, right? It is Tim Burton, so the look is gorgeous. The casting is spot on. I don't think I would have cast Luis Guzman as Gomez Addams, but it works because I definitely would have done Catherine Zeta-Jones.
And he does look a lot like the original New Yorker
the comic
cartoons.
strip, the comic strips, yes. And in the role of Wednesday,
Jenna Ortega.
oh my God, she is no freaking joke. So I definitely see what everybody is talking about, and I can't wait to continue watching this show. But as much as I was already like all in on this, I jumped both feet in watching the first episode, and as Wednesday is being introduced to everybody in Nevermore Academy, she's introduced to the character of Bianca, right? Who is, they say, the royalty there at Nevermore, and she is a mermaid. And I love that because the commentary for the last year online has been people jumping back at Disney for casting Halle Bailey as the Little Mermaid in the live action adaptation that's going to be coming out later this year. And they did that, one, because Halle Bailey is an amazing actress and singer, so she won the role just based on her talent. I don't believe that Disney did this, but I believe that Nevermore did cast the mermaid as a black role because historically, ladies and gentlemen, and all you people out there, you nutwads on the internet, mermaids first were black. The folklore to mermaids dates back to Western Africa, and the original mermaid was named Mama Wati, I believe was her name, and she was considered the first siren, and she was indeed among other things a shapeshifter and a mermaid. And I can just see the writers of Nevermore locking in on that and just really honing in and putting that in there, especially saying that she is descended from royalty because she was considered the queen, the first of the mermaids. So I am all in on Wednesday. Good on you. Peace.
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I have heard some specific complaints, and I want your opinion on these complaints that I can't verify are mine or not.
Okay.
All right. One of them being the show, the original Addams Family TV show, comic strip, and even the movies that came out many years ago.
Not that many years ago, because remember the animated
it was the
movies.
late 90s.
Oh, true.
Well, but remember,
yeah.
Addams Family has always been being repurposed.
Most
repackaged.
of the conflicts and most of those stories are based on the fact that the Addams Family are the only ones that are odd.
Mm-hmm.
And this show puts them in an entire world that is odd. And some people, I've read some hot takes about how maybe it loses its magic a little bit because
Cool down that take.
Yeah.
cool it down.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It didn't bother you.
Didn't bother me at all. And actually, when you think about it, if you go back to even most people consider the original source material the TV show, even though it actually was the comic strips. But the comic strips, they didn't have names.
Yeah.
They weren't fleshed out at all. Everything was fleshed out for the TV show. But if you think of the TV show, even though they were the only odd ones in their neighborhood and maybe in their city, all they ever talked about was going to these different schools, all the different people in their family who were living, here and there and everywhere. And those same relatives and touches of other oddities would play a part, if only from a distant vantage point, in the movies as well, as they continue to flesh out that world.
Word.
So, no. Y'all wrong.
And honestly, even if
Summarize,
yeah.
shut up.
Even if it hadn't been done already, which it has, that they interact with other weird things, it still works great.
Oh, yes.
Have you watched the show yet?
Yeah.
It's
So
good?
I've seen the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was awesome. I think it was great. I'm looking forward to the next season. I'm glad that there is one coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does a really good job of having Wednesday be the focus, which he has never been before.
Never been.
And having just the right amount of other Addams stuff going on. And yeah, she's in a different place than with the rest of the Addams family. And this is a school that has a lot of weird stuff going on. And she works just great.
Cool.
They're also in a town that doesn't. They're
That's
with
true.
a town that's not weird.
Yeah, to me,
you know?
so to me, I guess I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, just the
Yeah.
comedy,
what you're hearing, right.
the comedy of errors, or just comes from the juxtaposition of ordinary world or sleepiness with the oddity and or real life horror of the Addams Family.
It's a big theme though,
Yeah.
because there's the contrast between them and this town.
So what you're telling me is that they expanded it. It's not the family. It's
It's not the family, because they're taking
expanded it
Wednesday
from
out
the
of
school
there.
to the town, not just the family to their neighbors.
And actually
it's
doing
still there,
this
okay.
because as hallowed as the original TV show is, there are a lot of episodes that read the same. It's the same joke.
Yeah.
It doesn't really
dare you.
rebuild the world. There's not a whole lot of
dare you.
continuity here. This is a continuity.
We just in my household we just kind of got through a couple of shows.
Sure.
This and Better Call Saul are the next ones on the block. Yeah.
Was there another? You sounded like you had more than one Internet Wednesday comment.
The other one was that it was too YA for most people, which I don't think is a problem.
I mean, look,
I don't
not
think
everything is
there
for
wasn't
you.
even, it wasn't even worth
You
like
don't want to watch
really.
it? Don't watch it.
I was more concerned.
You know?
I was more wondering about the actual narrative structure of the show.
Yeah.
Not it's for tweens. I don't care about that. Good is good.
Right. Hey, Noel,
Yeah.
what you been up to? Huh?
I'm going to talk about another TV show
Cool.
that is deep rooted in my childhood. So I finished Willow,
Ooh.
the TV series, the sequel TV series on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Have you guys seen Willow, the original 1980 something?
Very long time ago, I think.
I did not that long ago for the first time.
Oh.
What did you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I see what people probably enjoyed about it then.
So for anybody that hasn't seen Willow, it is a 1980 it's mid 80s, 84, 85,
Yeah.
86, something like that. Maybe 87, maybe 88. It might be 89. Probably not. It is a fantasy film, a Lucasfilm, original Lucasfilm, directed by Ron Howard, written by Lawrence Kasdan, I think. It is about a young farmer who wants to be a wizard. A baby of a different ilk shows up, and it is a prophesized baby, and he has to take it across the crazy lands to drop it off to safety before the evil Bab Morda. Blah, blah, blah. It's essentially a fantasy. It's a fantasy sword and sorcery movie. hit really hard when I was a kid. Loved it. It is a very earnest movie with heavy orchestral. It is very earnest. Is the best way. It's literally like large myths, monsters, sword and sorcery. It is on the nose, exactly what it is. So, it's a cult property. They haven't done anything with it for 30 years.
Nope.
Yeah.
But then a couple people at Disney Plus were like, "We really love this old movie. We're gonna 1988. Thank you, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex. We're gonna make a sequel series. Cool. I was super in. 8 episodes. They're about 45 minutes apiece. The show takes place 20-ish years later.
Okay.
They're very vague about the time. Like, some of the characters are clearly much older, yet they have kids that are like in their early 20s or teens. So it's like, is it 30 years or 15 years? Or is this real? Whatever.
We
It
don't
doesn't
know
really
how
matter.
time is measured there.
No, we don't know how
That's a
time
good
is
point.
measured there. So ultimately, I loved the show,
Okay.
Cool. All right.
but it took me a while
Oh.
because
Episodes, plural, a while?
first and second episode,
Okay.
I was just like doing cartwheels. This is fun. I love it. But then it started to grate on me a little bit, and I will talk to you about why it bothered me.
Okay.
The tone of the show is almost nothing like the movie.
Oh. Huh.
We're talking about you watched Gladiator, and the sequel was A Knight's Tale.
Yeah, but you could. I mean,
The tone is completely different. I'm
Okay.
talking like there's no score. It's all like pop song needle drops.
oh,
and-
really?
Yes.
That's weird.
Oh,
It
no,
is a
that's
tonally different show,
Bad. That's bad.
which was jarring. At first, it's just like, oh, this is cute, and then the end credits has like a Ramones song or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of
Yeah,
that's jazzy. That's cool.
Okay.
3 or 4 episodes in, it starts with like a fight scene to like a girl power pop song, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching now? Because it feels like the show was trying to be 80 things except one good thing.
Is it not earnest?
It's no, not
Oh,
really.
That
no.
sucks.
Because also too, if you're a fan of Willow, or I swear to you, even if you've never seen this movie, you've heard the score. You've heard the Alan Silvestri score.
That's true.
The dun, 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 dun. It's very, very familiar. That's been in commercials and television for friggin' decades, and they use it like once in 8 episodes, and it blew my heart into pieces.
Maybe it's
because
expensive.
they
Shouldn't they
own
own
the
it?
property. Disney owns everything. Okay,
Ooh, they
so
might not own that. So, well, they made it for the movie.
also the show features one of my biggest pet peeves, which is the entirety of character conflicts is predicated on just 2 people not saying one thing.
Just like, oh, I hate that.
yeah.
I hate that.
So a
we
lot of
not
the,
move past that?
a lot of the characters are teenagers or just young 20s. So it's like, just say that you like him. Just say that you like her. But no, they keep information from each other, and it just keeps getting like more complicated. But I get it. It's just, if you're doing it for 4 episodes, I'm tired.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the
Yeah.
same time, they're yada-yadaing like actual like big stuff.
Progression.
At the same, so it's like 3 episodes of a love triangle, and it's like, oh, in the background, this kid actually learned how to be a sorcerer. You didn't know that. I'm sorry, it's there right now. So like it's like they kept weighing the scales incorrectly, but then the last 2 episodes
It redeemed
were
itself.
were banger as hell.
Cool.
So it's I want there to be a second season. I can't wait to watch it.
It was renewed, right?
I don't know. I don't think so
Okay.
yet. I don't know. I want there to be more. It's got a really good hook at the end. They incorporate, so Val Kilmer is a very big piece of the first movie.
Right.
They incorporate his character in a couple of really fun ways. There's some great cameos. I just hope that they learn from their. I hope that they focus on some different things. But it was worth watching if you're a fan of the original. But it had some moments where both my wife and I were like, "Is this the same show?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the best, or at least my favorite of the, they're not reboots, but the return to
Yeah.
kind of things, are the ones that maintain the tone of the original. right? Those are my favorite ones.
Had I never seen the movie, I'd probably think the show is much better.
That's it. Yeah. See,
Because
that's the thing. It's like you're coming back to that world. You want it. You want to feel like that was.
The movie was not reliant on current pop culture. It was just a classic style story told in a classic way, which should just be evergreen. This was more of a let's do a pop song cover of this other story. And it may have worked for a lot of people, but for me it was a little bit more jarring than anything else. But ultimately I do recommend it.
Oh, well, it certainly has gotten enough press, So
Yeah.
It's if you saw the movie, you'd like it. Watch the damn show.
Oh, hey, speaking of second seasons, I think you shared with me, but since I mentioned it on the show in our top countdown, the show Minx, which I adored, I think you said it was picked up by Starz.
Yep.
So season 2, which was done filming, now has a place to be shown, and hopefully season 1 is on there too. So if anybody was intrigued or heard about it, then now you can watch it.
It's been picked up. Actually, hopefully that's going to happen to a lot of the shows that HBO MAX kind of set aside that they'll show up on other channels and or be licensed to other channels.
It would be great, especially if I already have that streaming service.
Do you already have Starz?
You do
No,
not
I do
have
not.
Starz.
Most people don't.
No. But I'll get it for 7 weeks or so to
Only
watch this.
hardcore fans of Power.
I'm about to say, see, black people have Starz.
Oh, yeah?
You can watch Power.
Oh, okay.
Aren't there like 5?
There's 5 powers.
There's 5 powers?
There's like a
Yes.
bunch of spin-offs.
Like it's a whole gauntlet.
It is.
Ooh.
There is a
Control
Stars Power shared universe.
Yes, there is.
the
Across the whole
Powerverse.
channel.
There
Yeah,
is.
the Powerverse.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It is.
Let's check in on the chat really quick before we head out. Never watched Willow. It's fun. It's great. You'll like it. Hi, Robert. Hi. No one says they all have to have kids at the same time. Actually, that's pretty funny. So, Christopher St. Saucy, good night. I know that you didn't put context on that comment, but I think it's funny in regards to like sequel series, I guess. Like, it's maybe 20 years later, but all their children are the same age or around the same age. It's like they all just agreed, like, hey, we're going to have kids this year, right? We're gonna have progeny really soon. Did you get the
pregnant?
memo?
Stop. Do not.
Send a pigeon. We're gonna have
year.
a kid. Yeah.
And
funny.
go.
Yeah.
Synchronize.
There's no phone. It's literally like I'm gonna send an owl to let them know that we maybe made a kid tonight.
The
Try
owl
harder.
comes in and you're like, it's owl night.
Honey, it's owl night.
Okay.
I'll be right up.
Ooh, owl night.
All right. So,
I've got to go, Mom. It's owl night.
So she has a phone.
wait, your mom's got a phone. Mom's got a phone, but it wasn't this. It was this. It's actually like a.
Oh, it's one of the
can
cup and a string things.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Or I mean, a goblet and thread.
Right.
A goblet and twine. Anyway, so in the spirit of our main review tonight, which is going to be The Last of Us episode 1 on HBO Max and HBO, before we dive into that really hard, because it's hard. Okay. I want to ask you guys just a little baseline question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite adaptation or remake of a previously beloved material? Because The Last of Us, before the show even premiered, the hullabaloo online was that it is a very beloved, the best video game that ever done was now being adapted into a television series.
Yeah.
Has that happened well in your estimation, or at least favorably to you in the past? Like an adaptation that just nailed it.
Now, let me ask you this, because Tea Leaves, our producer, brought up a good point, that adaptations are supposed to be kind of like taking the story of a property and then putting it into another medium, TV or movie or what have you, right? But when you look at like even not all, but some of like your superhero movies, they are taking the character and kind of, it's not really an adaptation of a story. It may be like an amalgamation of a bunch of stories, you know? So would we take those off the table? Are you being a little bit more literal when you say adaptation?
I took it that way.
Okay.
Literal?
Because then mine would be The Godfather. because it is an adaptation
of
the novel. Now, it's better than a novel because the novel, if anyone has ever read it, is a piece of shit. But it takes
Mario Puzo is turning in his grave.
No, he's not.
Superman.
No, he's not.
Rider.
He
Is
is.
that dead?
He is. He is living on gold. He doesn't care. He
Is he dead?
got paid.
Is Mario Puzo alive?
I think he has. I think he has passed away.
I don't know what he's.
I don't. Terry, I need you to tell me
Terry,
about.
tea leaves.
tell you
Will
about,
look at the tea leaves
Mario
and find
Puzo.
out.
Ah, very nice.
But the Godfather, what Coppola did, and Puzo, because he wrote the book, but they then looked in the novel and picked out little things that were really focused on the family.
Yeah.
And then build them up large. But they were in the book. Some of them you don't kind of fucks around with, but they were in the book. So The Godfather does act as an adaptation of that novel.
Yeah, I think that was a good point about the superhero things. Like those
Famously died in 1999.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
told you
Say
he was
famous?
dead as a doornail. He was very dead. Famously deceased.
How did you not know about it?
How did you not know?
He died in Times Square. It was just all over the
Famously died.
I think he released a series of
Yeah, it was,
confetti
it
and
was-
hot air balloons.
It was planned
yeah. yeah.
meticulously
Huh.
and covered far and wide. How'd you not know? Any, is there any
Cultural
adaptation you can
So
We apologize to the
Mario
yeah,
Puzo
it's a terrible
estate.
thing to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Who
So
died not famously.
He infamously died.
So two things popped into my head, right? One of them, first one, I read the book
Ranked?
after. No, this is the first one that popped in my head.
But
so
not
in
ranked.
order of appearance.
What's the order of the two? What's
Ooh,
your
that's
favorite
a
of
tough
the two?
call. I think I got to go with 2 is 1, right?
So why don't you tell me, or do you want to do two first?
No, I want to build up.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is his first,
The first thing
but
popped in my
least
head
favorite of his
of
two
my two
things
favorites.
that popped in his head.
Let's draw
And
this out
go.
longer.
Here we go. So, to begin, I did not know it was a book when I saw the movie, but I later read the book Fight Club.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal
okay,
adaptation.
okay.
The author likes it better than the book because they make
That
a
happens.
couple of different choices than they do in the book. So it was a great adaptation, right? But the other one, it was very recent, but it was on my best of list, edging out Minx, Sandman. The Sandman adaptation.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And that does qualify, I think,
Yes,
as an
it does.
adaptation.
It does.
You know, it was straight changed where change was decided upon, but an adaptation.
Still
directly
very
goes
much
towards-
an adaptation.
yeah. So I think, oh man, like that hit it. You know, nearly as right as it could be. Maybe as right as it could be.
I don't think I have one.
Okay.
Well, because like when we narrowed the topic down, I don't know if I we mentioned The Thing earlier. That is a remake of a very popular 1950s movie.
Yeah, but
is
that was the
better
same
in every
medium.
way.
Yeah, it just says
medium to
remake
medium.
of beloved material, adaptation or remake.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
one of the things that did come to mind. Hi.
Oh, Terry.
One of the
Tapping
things
in
that
for an
did come to
adaptation.
one of the things that did come to mind was we talked last week or the week before. I don't even remember. Time is a flat circle. About
in the world of Willow.
Guardians of the Galaxy, the
Yes.
comic,
Yeah.
Annihilation
yeah.
Conquest. That was literally my favorite. Guardians of the Galaxy was my favorite comic book over the last 20 years. I loved every second of it. The film adaptation of that is nothing like the comic,
Right.
but incredibly like the comic.
Yeah.
In
the spirit of.
in the tone and the
Yeah,
spirit.
it is. When I was reading it, I did not feel pop. I did not feel pop music. I did not feel the humor necessarily, but the weird cosmic wackiness was something that did come through. So it wasn't a faithful adaptation, but it's the most perfect kind of reinterpretation that I could think of something that I loved
Okay.
unconditionally.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a perfectly reasonable answer to the question. You know what I mean? Even if
Well, I mean, you guys, you put so many layers on it. I wasn't
we
sure if
did.
I could ever be
now
correct
we're
again.
taking those onion layers
It's
off.
the inside of the onion now. Now we're in the smelly bit. Terry,
I
hi.
have 2 straight down the barrel. I wasn't sure if you had an adaptation or not, so I'll bail you out. 2 straight down the barrel ones. One is the Dark Knight Returns, the animated two movies.
Oh yeah, those are
really
pretty,
good.
those are pretty damn
Really
good.
good.
In my
That-
opinion,
you-
the fact
you know
that they
what?
split it into two
I
films.
forgot about all of
brilliant.
those animated movies.
That is a good one.
Those animated movies, I think, are the best things DC's ever done in the entertainment medium outside of comic books.
Ooh, that-
Like, I would put those animated movies and the cartoons as above.
Wait, are you saying all DC animated output? Because they've
Yeah.
got some really good animated output.
Wait,
I'll
I-
tell
No,
you.
he's saying
versus all live action
what they've
output.
done
Yeah,
in that sphere.
Okay.
Above their live
wait,
action.
before you
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
off that point, I have been every time I'm in the shop now, I will put on the old, like the early DC animated films. I miss the fact that they in the early animated films tried to recreate the style of what they're adapting.
I
Yeah.
do.
So you
Yeah.
like Public Enemies, which really wasn't that great, that looked like Ed McGuinness art. Dark Knight Returns looked like
Yeah.
Klaus Jansson's inks.
And I know
Like,
that
they
they tried
tried,
to
but then
for
the
All-Star.
the shared universe they tried to for All Star. It was a little hard
Well,
because
and they
you
even
can't
said
get
like
that
we
detailed.
wanted to do Frank Quitely, but we just couldn't.
But
They tried
know.
to in Killing Joke, too.
yeah, but then when they got into like their shared universe shit,
Yeah.
it all looked like hazy anime,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it lost that kind of like comic book.
It
I-
looked
I
cheaper.
really-
It looked
yeah,
cheaper.
It did look cheaper.
It did.
I have a feeling Gotham by Gaslight might, because that's not in their new shared universe.
But
That's
did
a
you
cool
see
movie.
It was pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't even realize it had already come out.
It already
Oh,
came,
yeah.
it came
That
out years
was a
ago.
couple years ago.
The
But-
Robins
Wait, there's a new
are
one coming up,
particularly
though.
fun.
It's
I
this,
did see Gotham by Gaslight.
no, you're
There's
talking
a new
about
one coming
the
out.
Doom that came to
The
Gotham.
Doom that came to Gotham. Yes.
But yeah, if it looks like Mignola art, awesome.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
down. But Gotham by Gaslight looked like the anime style. Like it wasn't.
Dark Knight was a great one. What's your second
yeah.
one?
Yeah,
Oh
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, and just to kind of close the door, the other one is the Red Hood adaptation,
That was
the
dope,
animated
too.
film. That is unbelievable.
I remember liking it. I don't remember.
Yeah, it is pretty-
It's
it
we
is
brought
pretty
it up
good.
before,
Under the
but
Hood.
it has.
Yeah.
They capture the mystery and they capture the reveal quite well. And the most important thing is it's a Joker voice you've never heard before,
Right.
but
Maggio.
is wonderful.
Very interesting choice. They're an excellent comedic voice actor, and
John
it's-
DiMaggio.
I never
Yeah, about to
saw
say
it,
John
but-
DiMaggio.
But you
right.
also hear the cruelty when he's chastising Robin
Yeah.
or Jason Todd about
Right.
how he killed him
Yeah.
with a crowbar. It's brutal.
Yeah.
But the confrontation, which Jensen Ackles, is that
I
Bat-
believe so,
He's
yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
whoever is playing Jason Todd,
It's Todd. Him.
literally that part where he goes, it's not that you didn't save me. It's how is he still alive? And he screams it.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
ends with him saying, I'm not going to spoil it, but it ends with him saying, the only way I'm not going to kill him is if you shoot me right in my face. And you feel it. He's like, I'm ready to die right here because you did not do revenge. So not a straight down the middle adaptation. Pretty close.
It's pretty close. Because
Pretty close.
actually, the story in the comic book actually goes weird with Joker becoming like have something like to do with Arab states
They-
or something.
They also did the
streamlined-
Talia thing instead of the Superboy Prime punching the
Right.
Yeah,
universe.
they streamlined they streamlined it with like not being as continuity heavy, but it actually that was written. The screenplay for that was written by Judd Winnick,
Who
wrote
wrote
the
that?
comic.
Yeah, you're right.
And
So
they did
it
the
is.
Talia thing in the comic too. It was one of those like multiple applications in a comic thing, you know.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
He came back with the punch, but the body was healed by the
Right.
Lazarus pit and blah blah blah.
It's funny how sometimes in comics, like to make a change, it has to be told several times for it to happen. Yeah.
But those are both two
Those are
good
both really
ones.
good.
Those are
Yeah,
good.
I mean
Yeah,
they're
those are good.
they're beautiful. If you haven't seen them, I recommend them. And for my money, start at the beginning of the DC animated movies and go right up until they start to fall off a little bit, but then hop back on for Flashpoint Paradox.
Well, Superman Doomsday is the first one.
It's
I
bad.
Wouldn't necessarily.
No.
Of the,
New
of the
Frontier.
DC like
No.
animated.
The
thing.
Keep going back.
No,
Keep
no,
going
no.
back.
Where are we going?
The Batman animated series that was in theaters. That film.
Mask
Oh,
of the
Mask of the
Phantasm.
Mask of the Phantasm
that
is the
was-
beginning.
Okay.
That's the beginning.
Yeah.
Because
Fair enough.
Because then you get Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
You know, hold on.
That was phenomenal.
I gotta dip out.
Hold on. You know what? You're both correct. Those are the first feature-length animated films. However, the era of
Yeah.
Warner Brothers premiere, where they had an initiative of adapting specific storylines,
Okay.
that was Superman Doomsday, New Frontier,
Oh my God!
Public
Oh, that was a
Enemies.
great adaptation,
Like
and
they,
pretty close.
They were literally, it was really
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, that was good.
That's the kind of start of modern.
That's
Where,
yeah.
like
you're
we're gonna
right.
have one of these a year
because
or so.
because Sub-Zero, Mask of the Phantasm, Return of Joker, which is better than the other two as far as I'm concerned. It's one of the best. The PG-13 cut, actually, though, not the
Oh.
I actually
edited.
I like the edited. Cut.
the PG-13 one is so good though.
Yeah, but I like the director's cut. I like it.
That is the director's cut.
No. Oh, PG-13.
You were looking
the
for a rated R.
I'm thinking like, wasn't that rated R version? Yeah. I love it.
Anyway, those are all great answers, guys. I'm glad we hang out.
Cool.
So, without
Oh,
further,
we still got a show to do.
without further ado,
This is
we're
the
moving on to the main topic this evening,
Yeah.
which is
Are you not entertained?
The Last of Us 2023 on HBO Max or HBO, wherever you stream. Episode 1, which was called When You're Lost in the Darkness, starring Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, Anna Torv, and Gabriel Luna. Joel and Ellie, a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in, are forced to endure brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across post-outbreak America.
Not in this episode.
So I it starts.
Well, the first part.
I have never played the game,
Me
No,
neither.
me either.
which
Oh,
has.
wow.
Oh wait, so we're all coming at this fresh. That's
I
great.
knew that there was a guy, and he had to do something with or get to a young girl. That was it.
So none of us have played the game.
Yeah.
I am very familiar with the property.
Okay.
I am very familiar with the conceit of something outbreaky. Guy reluctantly helping girl. Lone wolf
Reluctant
and cub,
hero.
lone wolf and
yeah,
cub
yeah.
style something.
Exactly.
So familiar with the narrative concept, familiar with the property. I know that it's only 2 games. I know that I've not been spoiled,
Me neither.
but I do know that everyone adores the first game, and the second game is apparently wildly divisive,
Oh, really?
I
and
have
a
heard
lot
that
of
too,
people. Yeah, but I don't know why, and I'm just gonna stay away from it all. And I also know that they've been remade like 15 times.
They
So
have.
there's like 5 Last of Us games, but really only 2, because like it came out on PlayStation 2, and then it was remade for PlayStation 4,
gotcha.
and then it was,
Okay.
and then it was a
Okay.
they have milked this property,
Alright.
They've milked
even
it.
though it's only 2 games
And they've been trying to adapt it for years.
for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently lightning struck 2 years ago with HBO because they got the showrunners and co-creators of not only the game but Chernobyl.
The movie The Game with Michael Douglas?
Shut up.
No, that was a serious question.
Not at all. No,
that was
the
a great movie, though.
The video game.
Oh, The Game. I thought I was primed for you to say the creators of some other show, so that's what I heard.
Well, he did. He
Yeah,
said
yeah.
they were also the showrunners of Chernobyl.
Did you watch Chernobyl?
No, but I heard it was really good.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't
watch-
finish it, but it was just too.
So
Yeah.
so it's
Deep
coming
for
from
me.
it like it's coming from that like not self-series, that sounds like a dig, this prestige television,
Yeah.
the most prestige
Which
of
is HBO.
television, which is HBO.
yeah.
So that's where I was coming into it. I also fell off of Walking Dead, the comic and the show, very early on because I think that this genre as a whole is just so played out. There's not much new ground and or things that are done as well that deserve my full attention. Or that I feel deserve my full attention. I have seen every goddamn type of post-apocalyptic show, so you got to give me a different hook. With all that said, I thought this first episode was pretty banging. It was incredibly tense. It was incredibly methodical. The way that it's structured, the whole first 45 minutes of this half hour of this hour and 20-minute episode is ordinary world. Slowly establishing ordinary world.
That's
Slowly
slowly
is right.
tilting askew.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're talking like very, very subtly helicopter noise. Very, very subtly one cop, 2 cops.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And you're hearing over the
Weird-
radio.
Weird
bit.
move.
Yeah.
It was so eerie, so effective, and really, really well done.
But
I
it's
really loved that first chunk.
It's
a
all
lot.
set
Yeah,
up right
yeah.
at the top of the show
Oh, that was wonderful.
with the 1960s talk show A la like some kind of like Dick Cavett show back then. So it was when they actually had serious talk shows, like you have serious conversations, and
Cool.
The early podcasts,
right,
basically,
and giving a little bit of a commentary from 1968, if you will, on present day with the whole talk about what a pandemic might look like.
Look, that was so wonderful because it was essentially telling the audience what you're familiar with, we don't worry about.
Yeah,
What you just
Right.
went through, okay.
Right.
nah,
What we're really afraid of is what we're going to show you for 8 more episodes.
exactly.
And that was
which
just-
we can't do nothing.
That was
about.
perfect.
Did you guys recognize the commentator who was worried about fungi?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it
was
was,
from the Mummy.
From the Mummy.
Mummy.
Yeah, I didn't know where he was from, but I was like, I know that guy. I had to look
And
it
he
up.
was in like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and
Yeah,
tons
he's been in a
other
bunch of
stuff.
stuff.
Okay.
So I was
yes,
very
we did.
I was
Thank
very
you.
favorable to this first episode, coming in as just knowing about the property on like a pop culture level. I thought it was. I'm gonna keep watching. Anecdotally, my wife couldn't fall asleep that night because
Really? It
it
was a little
really,
too tense for
really
her?
bothered her
Oh, wow.
a lot.
Wow.
Huh.
Well,
so
not
I might be experiencing the show alone.
not knowing anything about it except that there was like this lone wolf and cub aspect, and knowing that it was supposed to be a guy and a girl, right? I'm going into this show, and I guess you don't want to spoil some things, but not knowing anything, it set me up for the okie doke, and I was like, oh, this is not fair. This is not fair. Yo, you're not supposed to be hitting me in my feels right now, man.
was
You're
very-
Not
talking
right
about
now.
The beginning part where there's...
I'm talking about like that whole half hour that he's talking
Right.
about.
The
Because some people are in the poster and some people aren't.
There's a the first half hour of the show is a short film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First half hour is a short film that just kind of introduces characters.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Think up, ladies and gentlemen. Think up.
Like how there's the short experience before
It's-
and
Yes.
it's sad.
Yes.
It is emotionally exhausting.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But then, like you said, it ratchets us up. And yo, man, shout out to Pedro Pascal.
Oh, he's great.
Pedro Pascal. If you only know him, ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalorian, or if you only know him from Wonder Woman 84, this dude is like, he should be like the MVP of everything. They should cast him in everything.
Guys, we're living in the Pascal Assance.
We are. We are.
One of my, a couple weeks ago, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Oh, he's great.
That's right. He's in that too.
He is the linchpin of that movie.
Yeah.
Like, Nick Cage is all over the place
Right.
to the wall. He isn't the straight man, but he does match that energy in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And it is not what you expect from the Mandalorian
That's true.
or Joel.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal just nails it in everything he does.
Yeah.
He also, except Game of Thrones.
I'll tell you
Wait,
what, though.
he was
he
awesome
actually-
in Game of
he
Thrones.
actually did nail it.
Yeah.
He actually did
I
nail
was so upset with that occurrence.
I forgot he was on Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Because he was so great. I was like legitimately upset at the people who made that show or story. Because I'm like, you introduced a guy. He was cool. You wanted me to think he was cool, and I did. And now he's gone so quickly. What the hell? You know?
It's Game of Thrones.
Sometimes life's not
Right?
fair, man.
No, I know. But I don't like it when that happens. You know? When they do it on shows. Or in the real world either.
I really meant that he, in fact, was the nail because he got smushed into the ground.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
He did.
Bye.
And in such an avoidable way. You know, story-wise.
Well, he did kill
He did.
the mountain,
He did.
You killed them.
Yeah.
but they reanimated him.
They did. But yeah, it was like
Spoilers
sometimes
for a
game
10-year-old
you-
show,
yeah,
guys.
Like sometimes you're upset because you like that character and you're like, that's a real bummer. I was just legitimately like, but I wanted to see more of what you made cool. you
However,
know?
I mean that is I'm gonna use the word beautiful. That is a beautifully crafted scene. That is directed
Sure.
impossibly well and edited better.
Mostly Foley, too. Like,
Yeah.
you see the beginning of, but
Yeah.
not all
Just
of. And
it's
then
either his wife or his sister just
sister.
shrieking in
His
horror
sister.
and like the way her
It's his
arms
sister.
move.
Yeah.
And we have since gotten more Pedro Pascal, so it's not like he, the actor, has been.
He didn't die.
From, right.
Famously from the best episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes,
That's true.
Very famously. I was just talking with a friend today. We were like, "Wait, there were only 2 seasons of Mandalorian?" And I was like, "Yeah, there feels like 3 because of that one episode of Boba Fett.
There was
enough awesomeness.
There was a side quest series.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
Last of
The
Us.
Last of Us.
Last of Us.
What did I think? You guys are wondering, I'm sure.
And that's all for tonight.
Yeah, all right. Wonder even longer.
What do you think? Yeah.
So I was ready to go, right? Like I've just described, I think Pedro Pascal is fun to watch. He's great. And so many people have really enjoyed this game. And I don't really play video games ever. So I wasn't going to be exposed to this story unless it was something like this. And I thought, this is awesome. And one thing I thought was very cool, one of the voice actors from the game is playing that role. In
Plays
the show.
Marlene.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Beth,
Plays Marlene.
Very
Found that
cool.
out in the behind the scenes after the episode.
I'm gonna put a pin in one of the things you just said,
Yeah.
but please tell us. You got to remember to keep going. Sorry.
What do you want me to tell you?
That was
No, continue with your opinion,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'd like remind me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So unfortunately, I was bored. I thought the beginning part was really cool. And like I said, the comment I made about like, some of these people aren't on the poster, that's what I was thinking as I'm watching it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, but that's probably how it's going to go, And I thought it was very well done. I thought everyone in the beginning part was excellent, and I wanted to see more of all of them. And then it got through that, and then it flashes forward 20 years, and we get a second beginning part, right? Where now we're like, we got to set up this world and this reality. And in that time, I just got kind of bored. And I still enjoyed watching him. I said to my girlfriend, I was like, if I'm going to watch another episode of this show, it's because he's the star. That's what's going to get me to do it. I've never watched Walking Dead or read the comic. It felt like Walking Dead, same kind of deal, right? Like, we're deep into the problem. The problem is manageable. The real issue is the people around, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like a little 28 Days Later also, because it's science zombies. I would assume somebody read that article about fungi in ants 10 years ago or so when they came out. Whenever they started making the game, they were like, oh, that would be a cool zombie thing. It is a very interesting concept. It's a very interesting thing that happens. I did think it was interesting or funny that they're like, well, the fungi can't live in us because it's too warm. But if things were to get a little bit warmer, then they would have a reason to evolve. Like, they could evolve to do it now
But
if they wanted to.
They're tying in
it
climate
to
change.
climate
No, I
change,
get
yeah.
it. I know why.
Well, no. I
but,
mean,
yeah.
like that is apparently that's not something that was in the game.
Okay.
That is a new concept for the
Okay.
show, which I think is actually also very smart.
I liked the tie-in. Like, I thought that was clever, but I did find myself wondering, like, but evolution conquers, issues.
Yes, but sometimes there is a catalyst
Sure.
for
And
exacerbated evolution.
Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe there wasn't a reason to infect mammals, but once you can,
Go for
get
it.
those mammals, right? Yeah.
I thought that the
how my
casting of
that's how
that
my parents met.
1960s part was wild too. That was Big Head from Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
You remember that
it was
show?
Big
I never
Head.
saw that show.
Wait,
And I was like,
it was?
Spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, and he also played. If you watch Mythic Quest,
That's right. It was Big
he was
Head.
the young.
He was a young buck or something.
Yeah, the young dude. It's interesting you talk about the time skip because the one thing I was going to say about Pedro Pascal is I love the subtle acting difference between 30-something him and 50-something him.
Also,
And
you
brutalized by the world.
you only really saw. I mean, they did salt and pepper hair and face and stuff, but when the flashlight was shining on his face, it was like, oh, look at all those spots. Like the makeup was fantastic. Like all of like the blemishes and the almost like rosacea.
I read that
on
the
his cheeks and
showrunner
stuff.
even was thinking of that because he's like, in the game, he's invincible, superhuman, the things he's doing. He's like, I want my 56-year-old to be 56.
Right.
So I love that they did that. And you could tell, like, in the acting, it's like, he's playing this differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the very quick. I was very impressed also too by like the quick shorthand character beats. Like why is this person? Why are these people so capable? There's a veteran's bumper sticker.
Bumper sticker. I like that too.
Like they
Just
kept
shorthand.
seeding.
Like, this is why.
And I was like the construction site talk, and then later on him knowing like how to like going through the walls of the thing. Like they set up pieces of his like just character
Capabilities.
sheet, his character sheet. Just like he can do this, he is capable of this. He knows how to avert. Like I thought that was really it was slick, subtle, effective storytelling.
And Oxycontin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
The one thing that
Yeah,
I
with
wanted
a pin.
I would
Yeah.
put a pin in. So some of the discourse online, which is where you get all the best discourse, has to do with why the game was already so cinematic. It already played like a movie. Why adapt it? It's just going to be inferior. My response to that is, quit gatekeeping your shit. I'm never going to play a 20-hour game for a console I don't own, and this is a way for me to also experience this story that you love.
Exactly.
Relax.
And why adapt anything? Because we wanted to do it. We
Again.
wanted to tell the story again in a new medium.
Yeah, it's like
you know?
you're not the idea that like this adaptation, if it's good or bad, that it's somehow reducing the shine of your other piece of fiction
Right.
is so weird.
Right.
So weird to me.
Like, the only danger you're in there is, like, which I think I talked about the other week, that if an adaptation comes out and it's so bad that people won't believe you that the thing it's adapted from is good, that can be annoying. But it's not commmen.
No, not at all.
Right. So, like, whatever.
Also,
you know?
too, we don't live in an era without high-speed internet and information at your fingertips. Like maybe in the 80s,
Yeah.
something like that
Yeah.
would happen where nobody really knows that this is based on a book. I had no idea.
Right.
Why should I go read the book? Or like
Yeah.
everything is everywhere now, and
All at once.
literally.
that
Yeah.
was
I hope Best Picture, but yeah, I thought that discourse was so
Yeah.
limiting. Like
Right.
why?
Why? Look at, like, the Green Knight that I was talking about is from a story that has been told so many times, is adapted into a new thing. We had a whole discourse about adaptations that were really good from other media, you know?
It's just the implication is that because I don't play video games, I don't deserve this story,
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
Like
that's
you said, the whole
gatekeeping.
idea is introducing the story to another audience. That's why you do it. That's why you
It's
take it. People, there are
gatekeeping,
people are
yeah.
not going to go in the comic book shop. That's why you bring the comic books to the movies or to television.
Right.
There's people that's not going to pick up a novel, but that's why it gets adapted into a movie.
The
Should we not
only-
make movies out of plays?
The only
'Cause they
reason
don't
you
go to
should-
the theater. You
the
know?
only reason you should ever feel upset about that is if them making this show inerts and destroys all your copies of the video game.
Yeah, which did happen that one time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Ghostbusters 2016
Remember
came
that?
out,
Yeah.
Sony came to my house and threw away all my copies
Yeah, that
of
sucked.
Ghostbusters from 1987. I swear to God, it was the worst.
Yep.
Fucking God, I hate fans. We're the worst. We're the worst. Johnny Destructor jumped in the chat. The only way people feel important is by complaining. It feels like you're bitching about it, buddy.
Well.
But I agree wholeheartedly. Any last words about this show? Are you going to continue it?
Okay, so
Yeah, that's a good question.
I probably will not, but it's not a closed door, right? Like, I might,
Maybe one or two more.
maybe.
Because
Like,
we introduced the ordinary world and now new world.
right. And I was like, if they don't tell me what the deal is with her by the end of this episode, I'm not sticking around to find out. Now, not that we necessarily know the full deal, but they gave you enough of what the setup is. But also, too, I'm like, okay, it's ended at probably basically the start of the game. Mm-hmm. So we're getting into the story of it now. So I'm not going to completely judge it on this first episode because the issues that I had with it were very first episode exposition issues. you know?
Pilot stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, there was one funny thing that I noticed at the end to pick it apart. He's got this code, right? Because he's a dealer of things, right? Drugs and maybe other stuff. I got the sense, right?
I saw this.
Right?
I saw
this
this.
is like a
Yeah.
2-layer pick we've got. So he's got this code, and it's in this book of
Billboard.
Billboard top hits, and it's a piece of paper with 3 things written down: 60s, good; 70s, we don't have anything; 80s, red X. So step 1 is Bella Ramsey's character opens it up. She sees it, and she's like, oh, while you were asleep, it was playing an 80s thing. And he's like, oh no. He's like, code cracked. You're like, 1, did you not crack that code when you saw a giant red X on next to this thing? You couldn't tell it meant something bad is happening. 2, why do you have that code written down? It's 3 things. 60s, 70s, 80s.
I mean, it's his bookmark.
Right. Right.
So the funny thing I saw online about that on Twitter. So the episode ends. So like the radio tower puts out a song, and it's like a code for Joel if he knows something he's asking about is happening or not. Good, bad, good news, no news, bad news. They are now embarking out into the wasteland to bring this girl somewhere. And his, you get this single shot of his radio turning on and starting to play some synth.
Which
and
was
then you
a
hear
really
an
cool
80s song.
thing to do with that.
I'll
be honest.
A wonderful
Yes.
transition.
Yes.
They play one of my favorite Depeche Mode songs. And someone online reminded me that song would never be in the book because it only charted up to 63 on the Billboard charts. Which I was like, I hate you, but you're right.
Well, I don't know that.
But I hate you.
I don't know that it has to be.
It was all top for 60 years of top.
That was the book that it was in
yeah.
for him to look it up, but maybe like anything from the 80s still works.
Either way, it was funny. He was just like,
it is funny.
It
Yeah.
was because it was
Yeah.
like top 50 every year, and he was like, it only went as high as 63. So I think it's called "Never Let You Down." Great song.
I Shazammed it just to be sure that it was from the 80s. I was like, this is definitely 80s, but I just want to make sure.
Depeche Mode's great. But I thought that's kind of fun. That's like on Twitter, somebody not really raining on your parade, but being like,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Just
Look
a little
at this.
sprinkle.
Yeah.
Because I think it
They're
even
passing
started.
storm cloud.
Yeah, it even started with like the song's an absolute banger and was thematically perfect, but I just so you like it didn't chart.
Yeah, well, it charted in
In this
their
world.
universe.
In their heart.
Right, in their
Charted-
universe.
oh, yeah, this
There's
is
a
the
fun
real
guy,
world.
and this song made top 50.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, what about you, Len? Are you going to continue with the show?
Oh yeah, I'm going to continue. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I too kind of liked. First of all, when I saw that the episode was going to be an hour and 20 minutes, I was like, oh my.
Yeah, me too.
God.
I don't know what I was getting into here.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But considering where it ended, I kind of felt like it ended pretty much at the start of the game, as it were. Really digging into the universe. And I like all of the acting. I like the world building that they're doing. They're not hitting you over the head, I don't think, with like the gore. It's more tension. So I'm with it. I want to continue.
Agree. I enjoyed it too. Honestly, I 1 hour and 20 minutes. HBO doesn't give a shit about formats.
I know.
No.
Like House of the Dragon, there was like hour and a half long episodes.
Right.
Which I love because if you're not looking at the progress bar, you don't know like you used to with network
That's true.
TV. Like
It's
it's
on, it's
about
on.
to be over.
Yeah.
This is the wrap up. That
That's
kind of
true.
thing.
That's very true.
I mean, Stranger Things. I think the last episode was 2 hours and 30 minutes or some shit like that. But either way, yeah, I'm in.
Cool.
It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to getting there. Even the creative team alone was probably gonna be enough for me.
Yeah.
Adaptation aside, so
And
yeah,
I trust
I'd like to see
HBO. I don't
Kinda.
They
lie.
usually do good
I
stuff.
trust HBO.
Yeah.
We just finished all of White Lotus.
I've heard a lot of things.
I have
Talk
not
about that
watched-
next week.
I have not watched the second season. All right.
Anyway, that was it. For those listening. I thumbed up.
And then
And
Len
I
thumbed
thumb
up.
return.
Then I double thumbs up in the middle. Just
See,
kind
it's
of not to anyone.
So many.
but,
It's
yeah.
3 people, 5 thumbs.
3 people, 5
4
thumbs.
thumbs.
That was a good.
Did
Yeah.
I, 1, 2, 1, 2.
4 thumbs.
Whatever. Anyway,
fine.
yeah, let's wrap this bitch up. As Terry stares at me in the cold distance.
'Cause
Anyway,
he said wrap it up 10
okay.
minutes ago.
thank you for joining us until next week. In the meantime, where can people find you, Brian?
I'm on BrianLiebDesign.com.
Hey, you can find me on my movie podcast, The Michaud Mission, MichaudMission.com. Check us out. Holla.
Do you have any Micheaux Mission events coming up or anything that we
I
could go
didn't want
to?
to get the time, but okay, yes, I got a live event, a live movie screening that's coming up this Saturday, January
The whole movie?
21st, here in Philadelphia at City Winery. We're going to be screening The Outside Story and doing a live podcast. Come check us out.
I'm sorry to impose
Wait,
upon you there.
Are you screening the whole movie at the event?
We're screening the whole movie.
That's awesome. You can find me online at what's the thing with the bird? Twitter at Mr. Bartocci, MrBartocci, or my website, noelthewriter.com. Thank you guys for joining us. We will be here next Wednesday.
Confess
live,
Fletch.
Oh, it's so good.
8:30 Eastern Standard Time, or on YouTube later, where you listen to podcasts. Let us know. Email us. Raffles. We want to jump in on that Peter David raffle. There's only a couple weeks left on that. CultPopGo@gmail.com.
Peter David in the subject line.
Or just your normal correspondence. Say hello. We don't do this in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Holla at a Cult Papa.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.